All right, we are live. 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 Hold on one second. I'm texting one of my developers. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Hello, 23 people. What's up? What's up? What's up? Oh, change my mic. See, this is why I need Chris. Bro, this is weird, bro, because I just did it's good now. I just did what's his name? I just did Cowbell live with Tom Nash. We had 250 people join at 8 a.m., which was kind of insane. Did not expect that. But my good mic was set up, so I don't know why StreamYard went back to the bad mic. Hello, everybody. Felicia, Cowbell took me by surprise. Happy it surprised you. Guys, what's up? Nicholas, Cameron. I was just watching the Daily Cowbell. Shout out to you, Nicola. I appreciate you guys. Damien, Jason, Eeyore was right. Didn't get to finish the Cowbell episode. Cowbell was a good one. We got to talk about Elon, got the Binance stuff. I think was probably the best topic that we covered in terms of breaking it down. We can't do 3 p.m. today, so we decided to do early in the morning. And apparently 250 people were up at 8:30. Did not expect that. But we are here. Hello, everybody. It is Friday. Did you change the interface yet? No, Chris, because I didn't get a chance to go to the studio. Definitely going next week because Tristan comes back on Tuesday. So we'll change it then. I have actual work to do, Chris, outside of driving 30 minutes to go get some fucking thing. I was like actually trying to build this whole startup. You know, the one that you invested in, that one, that's the kind of important one. I think YouTube turned off my emit notifications. You got to get YouTube to turn on those emit notifications. What's up, everybody? We have a new Palantir deal. I'll do a video on this, but let me get into it right now. I saw this morning. Someone says you are an average Ohio man. Well, I'm not from Ohio. So Ohio's a lovely place, though. I heard it's a nice place. I want to go there one day. All right. Integrity Tool and Mold selects Palantir to support its growth. I have no idea what Integrity Tool is, just like I had no idea what the Cleveland Clinic is. I had no idea what Crisis 24 was. I had no idea was the Tampa Bay General. Like, there's just these random ass deals that I knew what Hertz was. Like, I used Hertz before, but I never used these. So this is a multi-year, multi-million-dollar deal that help optimize Integrity's operations from the factory floor to sales to all that other shit. Founded in 2000 by a mold maker, Integrity has grown from a single plant to 5 facilities and 3 locations in North America, projecting revenue of $230 million. Wow. So a company doing $230 million, which is a relatively small company, is working with Palantir. Interesting. I mean, this is nice. Palantir is working with a little bit more mass market companies. Paul DiGiovanni, Integrity's founder and CEO, says Palantir founders aligned with the desire to act with speed to push the boundaries. Thanks to our talented and hardworking team, we have extracted the potential out of our current system, but wanted a more advanced data platform. That's really nice. We had extracted all the potential out of our current system, but wanted a more advanced data platform to reach our full potential. It kind of shows that companies that are waking up to this, just like they were waking up to the internet back in the 90s, that it's important to have something that's more advanced and to help you optimize your decision. David McNaught, the president of Palantir Technologies Canada. Oh, this is a company from Canada. Okay. Our partners at Integrity recognize that the software and technology are key for North American manufacturers to complete globally and preserve manufacturing jobs. This partnership shows how our cutting-edge technology can benefit companies of all sizes. We are proud to support their pursuit of excellence, Integrities. Okay, very cool. New Palantir deal, multi-million-dollar deal. It's nice to always have a new deal in the morning and see what's going on. So not bad at all. Palantir is a joke. That is true. They are a joke. What's up, bro? Amit. What's up, Samrat? Another partnership. Yes, another Palantirship. Another partnership. Chris said it well. Small companies become big ones. Yeah, I mean, Chris was dead on the money here. Like, Palantir working with, like, I don't know, man, 20,000 small companies that are doing from 100,000 to 100 million in revenue using your product versus the Fortune 500. I would rather have the former, you know, just because at the end of the day, that's more people using your shit, and more people using your shit is important. It's important, and it helps you scale at the end of the day. So if they can get both, they can get the Fortune 500 and the small companies, that'd be amazing. Okay, TPL Juju, thank you for being here. I appreciate everyone that joins these streams. Let's talk about the S&P, okay? Let's talk about the S&P. The S&P has declined massively since we last saw it yesterday, but a pretty steep decline. Look at this, at 383. I think it was at 391 yesterday. Now it's at 383. NASDAQ went below 11,000. I was like, all right, about below 11,000. Now it's at 10,810. We are in a red market that a likes of which we haven't seen in the past, I would say 3 weeks. In the past 3 weeks, the S&P has stayed stable from 390 all the way up to 410. Why anyone would buy the S&P during that time, unless you're swing trading it, I have no clue, because obviously this is very volatile. This is very risky, and it DCAing at that level just seemed a little bit absurd. Now we're at 380. I still think DCAing I think 370 is the time to start DCAing, because I don't think we're headed to absolute new lows, especially not now. Maybe in the new year, that's possible. I think it depends on inflation. We got to see if inflation goes down. But if it doesn't, then it would be different for us to see. Chris asks a very good question. He says, what's the word of the day? So remember, so far we had 2 words of the day this week, because one day I missed and I think one day I forgot. The first one was fiduciary. The second one was Byzantine or Byzantine. You can Byzantine. I like to call it Byzantine. Some people call it Byzantine. Today's word of the day, I want to think of a word that I know, not a word that I get from the dictionary that's unique. Okay, today's word of the day is dubious. Dubious. Does anyone know what the word dubious means? Dubious means foolish. It is very dubious to be buying this stock right here. Roblox. Why is it dubious to be buying Roblox? Well, let's show you why. Let's show you why it is dubious to buy Roblox. This is such a smooth transition. Don't you guys think I'm getting so much better at these segues? I went from word of the day to a new segment on the morning stream. I am legit. So Roblox had their earnings come out, and the earnings weren't that impressive, but apparently there was a stat that I didn't know of. Well, first of all, I'm learning more about the stat, but someone showed it to me. So daily active users, 56.7 million, up 15%, not that good. Hours engaged, 3.9 billion, up 10%, not that good. Not that 3.9 billion is not that good, but 10% year-over-year growth is not that good for a high-growth tech company. Bookings, $224 million, 5% year-over-year, that's not that good. Look at this stat someone tweeted below. Price to free cash flow, 293. Now, what is price to free cash flow? It is an important metric that I'm learning thanks to Steven, who just put out an article, by the way. Let me give a plug to Steven. Love this guy. We're thinking of actually starting a podcast together. This is his article, PayPal, a top pick for capital appreciation. He does a lot of good work on Seeking Alpha. I would definitely check him out. Free cash flow is one of those stats that can't be manipulated. It's literally how much money you have left after capital expenditures, how much stuff is flowing through the business. Price to free cash flow shows you how much you're actually paying per dollar for the business, because it's not just about growth or earnings, which can be manipulated. It's about how much cash is freely flowing. Roblox trades at 232 times price to free cash flow. Guess what Apple trades at? 19. Google is at 20. Microsoft is 28. Disney, which I don't know why anyone would buy Disney, is at 157. So the price to free cash flow on Roblox would make it dubious to invest in it right now, even if it has some growth in it. Netflix also has declined. I really wish I bought some freaking puts on Netflix. I'm too much of a little you-know-what to buy puts yet, because I'm too scared of, like, if the market goes up and then I lose the money, and I can't really afford to lose the money, so I don't want to lose the money. But at 320, like, look at this shit, bro. It was at 330. Like, I feel like on December 8th, 8 days ago, I should have, I mean, obviously you can say everything hindsight 2020, but I'm so bearish against Netflix, and the macro sucks. There is no reason why I couldn't have profited a little bit on the downward trend on Netflix, but I am not at the point yet where I can confidently buy puts on something and ride them out. I'm still a little bit too scared, but hopefully I will change. And when I change, you guys will know in real time. Okay, it's December 16th. We have 15 days left of December. I hope everyone has had a great week. This week has been okay for me, decent. Some stuff was good. Some stuff was okay. We're trying to end the week well. It is now 9:30 a.m. And as, of course, the stock market is only open because of the cowbell. Had to go longer for today. Wake your ass up. The stock market is open. Tesla 160. We've got to talk about what Elon Musk was doing last night on Twitter. Meta 120. NASDAQ 10,772 just went down another 2% from, or sorry, 0.31% from 10,800. SPY 385. We were down 0.685%. Roblox, it was down about 12% yesterday, so it's down even more at $27. Kathy Wood owns a lot of this stock. Let's see how that's affecting ARK, because that is probably going to be affecting ARK to some extent. She doesn't own a lot of it, but she owns a decent amount. 33.53 on ARK. Snapchat 883. Apple below 140. It was basically at 145, 146. Now it's at 136. Apple, again, when it hits 178, it's a $3 trillion company. So until it hits that number, or until the market decides to let it hit that number, it's not going to hit that number. Google falling to $90. Let's see Google at 85. I'm excited at Google at 85, even though I'm not that excited about Google at all, because for them to become a $2 trillion company, a lot of stuff has to happen. And I'm not saying search gets disrupted, but I'm saying search is a little bit harder of a moat than it was for the past 20 years. So, I mean, let's see what happens there. I would much more invest in Palantir over Google. Palantir goes down to $6.99. I want to buy a little bit more of Palantir, but I'm going to give it some time. It's the market open. It's 1 minute. Let's see if it falls down even more. Let's get to the 680, 670. Then I go in with a bigger buy. Look, I mean, Palantir is falling just because the entire market's falling. So it's the same thing. The new deals can't save us. Nothing can save us. In fact, Karp's interview that I did a reaction to the other day, I think it was a good one, right? Just I was watching, what's his name? What's the guy's name? And who's a big Tesla dude? Gali yesterday. I watched his entire video, or I was listening to it. I don't really watch videos. I kind of listen to them in the background. And Gali said the reason like Gary Black are like complaining about Tesla, Enphase at 309, by the way, is because they bought in at the top, whereas Gali, who was an average retail investor in 2018, bought in when Tesla was a $30 billion company. So he has a lot more patience than people like Gary Black, who are like institutional investors and they care so much about the price every day, buybacks, all this shit. It's like, my guy, because you're negative on your biggest holding in your fund. Of course you're going to be loud on Twitter. Gali, this dude was buying this shit when no one believed in the company. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is because I kind of feel like that's the same thing with Palantir. I don't know if it has a Tesla moment, but I mean, if it goes from $8 to $100, it's going to be people like us who are buying at $6, $7, who are not going to be worried buying at $80 because we already made a fuck ton of money because we bought it when no one else believed. That is the bet over the next 5 years. And it's a hell of a bet. It's a fun bet. I think it's a calculated bet. I do not think it's a miscalculated bet. So we are ultimately going to see what happens. Let's see some of the comments. Palantir mooning. Well, Palantir is down. Bought 2 Tesla shares. Okay, so you're buying the dip on Tesla. Chris, we missed your videos. I agree. Chris has a full-time job though, so he is busy. Chris, we need to do a deep dive on one of these stocks. I forgot the name of it. Nubank. I want to do a deep dive on Nubank if you have a chance. Let's do that for your channel. Let's try to get some of that content out there. We'll see. Chris hates his fan base. No, Chris actually loves his fan base. His fan base hates him because he's such a bear, but they appreciate him. That's the good part about Chris. They actually appreciate him. All right, let's talk about. We got Elon Musk and Binance. Which one do we want to do first? Let's do Binance stuff. Let's do Binance. Okay, so Kevin O'Leary went FTX or went to Congress yesterday, and he basically said, look, it's not Sam Bankman-Fried's fault. It's Binance's fault. Basically, his entire testimony in Congress was blaming Binance. This is what he had to say. Let me put in my headphones as a response to Binance. Real quick, what do you think of Amazon? I don't care a bit till I moved my startup to AWS a few months ago, and AWS blew my mind. Okay, so for first, Jack, what's the new Palantir contract? Type in Palantir Integrity, or just go to Palantir IR. Actually, let me put the link in the chat. I'll do another video on it, but it's not a bad it's a basic deal. It's a cool deal, nothing too crazy. In terms of Palantir AWS, Ahmed, I believe that's how you say it. I used AWS for my startup. I love AWS. AWS. My CTO loves AWS. We haven't used GCP, but AWS really gets the job done, and it's relatively cheap. So AWS, I am a big fan of that, and it's keeping the lights on at Amazon. Okay, let's look at what Kevin O'Leary has to say.
Let me address something before we go any further. Yesterday on the air, CZ called me a liar. That suggests that I perjured myself in front of the U.S. Senate for 2 hours this week. I can assure you that is not the case. Another little parable here you should understand. When I was young, my birth father, who's Irish, put me on his knee, and every Irishman will know this. And he said, son, never call an Irishman a liar unless you know with certainty that's true. And I said, why is that, Dad? He said, because the Irish are crazy. Now, I don't know what it meant back then, but I got to tell you, I'm not happy about that. So at the end of the day, I have no ill will to this guy, but he's part of the story too. And you found out yesterday, you did a little work with Squawk Box. We talked about it either being 2 billion or 3 billion, that transaction. That's the largest transaction, I think, of anything in there regarding the balance sheet in recent 24-month period. And he confirmed it was 2.1 billion. And then he confirmed that he still had 550 million, $500 million of FTT tokens. Now, At some point, we're going to look at that week of November 6th, and you ask anybody why was Sam Bankman-Fried or the whole company FTX forced into bankruptcy? It was jamming down that last $500 million that gave them no option. Now, is that the fatal stroke or blow to get rid of your global competitor?
Now, you got to remember this. What Leary's saying is manipulative here. We talked about this on the Daily Capital today. Tom actually had a good analogy. Basically, it's like if a kid is walking and you give them a little push and they fall down, and then somehow they fall off the face of the earth. It's like, no, they should just fall down on the floor, right? It'll hurt a little bit. They'll get a scrub, but when they fall off the face of the earth somehow after you give them a little nudge, that means that they were already falling and they were near the edge of the cliff. And you didn't push them off the edge of the cliff. They were there and they just happened to fall really badly. So the idea that Binance completely gutted FTX was already a scam. The customer funds were being commingled. This just exposed all of it. Now, Binance might be a scam as well. We don't know about that necessarily, and we'll see what happens. But it does not mean that somehow, Binance is the sole reason for this.
I say yes. I'll tell you something else. Right after that interview, I got a phone call, or actually it was a text, from a lobbyist in Washington saying, don't go anywhere, you're coming back. So I bet CZ bought himself an invitation to Washington yesterday. Can't wait to meet him there. We can go sightseeing.
Kevin, I suspect you might be right on that front. The only thing I'd say, even if that's the case, even if what he did led to the uncovering of what we now suspect, what's now been alleged in these documents or these complaints from the SEC and a criminal complaint too. I mean, the criminal complaint doesn't get into that as much as it gets into the idea that this was a fraud underneath it anyway. So if CZ did bring down the demise of this and let us see what was there, maybe all he did was sweep the tide out and we saw that SBF was swimming around naked. I mean, that may be the bigger issue here, that if he did do it, maybe it was a favor to everybody if it unveiled a Ponzi scheme that might have still been going on otherwise.
Well, remember, he was trying to buy the business at that time. On Wednesday, the idea was he was going to buy it.
Was he doing that just to throw more shade at him? I don't know.
Well, we don't know, but obviously if he thought there was fraud, he wouldn't have made an offer to buy it. So nobody knew, including, remember, this guy's a huge shareholder of FTX, or he was. And so he didn't see the fraud either. So at the end of the day, the question becomes clawback. You've been talking about it for the last 2 days. Is that 2.1 billion Madoff style clawback? Who knows? But if I get on that credit committee, I'll be one of the guys doing the clawing. So I'm looking forward to that because.
Yeah, I mean, so basically now this is the tricky part for Binance. This is the video we saw yesterday for those who joined the market open, which is that they got 2.1 billion from FTX. If that money comes back, which by the way, a lot of different regulations may be imposed on the bankruptcy to get money back from people who took sponsorships, from people who did this, people who did that. So Binance might have to give back $2.1 billion. The question that Becky, we all love Becky, asked was, can you handle that? He said, we're financially okay. That's not an answer to can you handle $2.1 billion leaving your company. So I would assume very few companies outside of Tesla, Amazon, Facebook would be able to deal with giving $2.1 billion away. And so that is the controversy here when it comes to CZ and Binance. Binance, look, the BNB token, the idea that they're not regulated in the United States, it feels like a house of cards just like FTX was, but maybe it's not as egregious. It's not as dubious, or maybe we are very dubious to it. That's the word of the day, which means foolish, because they're not commingling customer funds, because they don't have a trading arm like Alt Media Research that's doing trades for them. So that's what's maybe keeping them afloat insofar as they're not doing stuff like that. But the idea that you created this token that is contingent upon having customer deposits to prop up the token, which I may be really dumbing it down, but if you can't handle withdrawals, or you're telling people, hey, you have to wait 12 hours before your withdrawals, maybe you don't have the collateral to keep up the money. It's like if all of us took out our money from Robinhood tomorrow, I'm not sure Robinhood would survive. But on the flip side, I think Robinhood might survive because they're FDIC insured, all that stuff. There's a bunch of regulations. With Binance, it's a total crapshoot. Or any of these crypto exchanges, right? Even I think Coinbase is a little bit more sophisticated from a withdrawal perspective than Binance. NASDAQ down to 10,770. It was 10,900 in the morning, then 10,800 now. It is 10,767, down 0.4%. Meta Platforms in a sea of red for some reason is green. And I want to give a shout out to this article that I read yesterday. And Darntons, if you were in the chat, give a big shout out to him. This guy wrote a 7,000 word deep dive on Meta that I definitely think everyone should check out. I'm going to put it in the chat. I highly recommend you guys checking it out. It's a good analysis for if you're interested in Meta. I want to read a little bit of the preview there. Why is Meta green in a sea of red? It might be primarily because TikTok is going to get banned. So he says this is a 7,000 word deep dive. Primarily, he's talking about sort of the complexity and subconscious nature of how people use social media. At the end of the day, there's a big argument as well for artificial intelligence. The reason I'm interested in Meta has nothing to do with the metaverse. It's to do with the collectivization and centralization of attention at scale. And they have figured out how to centralize. Meta got an upgrade. That's why. From a technical perspective, Meta got an upgrade. That's also true. I think that was Goldman Sachs, right? To 150. I think that's what Chris put a little bit above. But more importantly, if TikTok gets banned, which look, I don't think it's actually going to happen, but every day it gets more and more confused to me that it might end up happening. If that happens, then Meta is going to the moon. Meta is going to I don't want to curse, but to the moon if TikTok gets banned. Like we're talking okay. I don't want to be this definitive. What I mean to say is there's no competition then. YouTube Shorts has never been competition. YouTube is not even competition for Facebook. Apparently, I had an Indian subscriber on the other day, late night, and he said, I said, what do you guys watch in India? I know YouTube's big. They have 440 million monthly active users there. He was like, Facebook video is what Indians watch. And you know why he's right? Because my dad, I catch him watching Facebook Reels all the time. And I'm like, why are you doing this on Facebook? And for some reason, Facebook is like integrated. YouTube Shorts is not the same reality. It's like Facebook has a stranglehold on population. So like if TikTok's gone, there is zero competition for Meta in the social networking space because YouTube's just a different product in and of itself, right? So that's that. Okay, let's go into Elon and Tesla. Now, what did Elon do last night? Elon Musk suspended journalists from the New York Times, CNN, Washington Post for allegedly, or not allegedly, but putting out an article that linked to Elon's jet tracker. For those that don't know, this is a real-time Twitter account that's pointing out the longitude and latitude locations of Elon's jet at all times. Elon has said this is now doxing, and therefore he suspended these journalists last night. And let's just say the journalists were not happy about that. Let's hear what people have to say about Elon.
I think of Steve Jobs. I think about some of the people just historically, and nobody's perfect, obviously, but sometimes these true geniuses, and I don't think there's any disputing that Elon Musk is
Sorry, guys, it went away for a second. I'll start it again.
I think of Steve Jobs. I think about some of the people just historically, and nobody's perfect, obviously, but sometimes these true geniuses, and I don't think there's any disputing that Elon Musk is a true genius. There's some warts that come along with it, or so, at least some mercurial behavior that might be part and parcel to all. Maybe it's part of the genius. Is that what Elon Musk, has he gotten worse as he's gotten more successful?
I think he is, to be honest with you. And the question is he stretching himself too thin? Are his demons coming to get him? So the biggest question when it comes to Tesla is who's running Tesla right now? I mean, he hasn't put in an acting CEO. We also know that he's been pulling people from his other companies, from SpaceX and from Tesla. And is that hurting the companies that he originally started? So I think the biggest issue with Musk is that he's an entrepreneurial leader. He is clearly a genius, as you said, but he's getting out of his range here. He's an engineer, and now he's in Twitter. You can't run Twitter the same way you run an engineering company.
Tim, we saw a lot of Elon's tweets over the years, long before he owned Twitter. They're not that much different than what we saw in the past. So do you think he's changed? And do you think he can run Tesla with all these distractions? A lot of the reasons why Tesla is down, there's been a big seller, him. So it did mean something that he had to buy Twitter. He had to, he had to monetize a lot of his holdings, and that's one of the reasons the stock's down.
Well, you hit it on the head. For years, he's been a flamethrower on Twitter, but the big difference now is that he owns the platform, and who is going to rein him in if he goes outside of what's acceptable? And just in recent weeks, people have been questioning some of the moves, some of the comments he's made about former Twitter executives and potentially putting them in danger by unfair insinuations of things that they have done. And now, the bigger issue here is he owns the platform. He can do what he wants. And there's this old adage that you don't get into a fight with a man who buys ink by the barrel. Well, with Twitter, Elon is buying pixels by the billions, and he's ready to rumble on that platform with anybody that steps up.
I wondered what does it look like when you get past the point of no return? I mean, it's fun to watch, Tim. We're adults and we kind of want to avert our gaze at certain things, but I'd rather actually be privy to it than not see it. And so what's my point? When does it become something so serious that there's real damage done?
Well, this is a drama, and it in some ways it might be helping engagements. It might be helping bring people into the platform at an important period of time for him. The worst thing that could happen for Twitter is that people just lose interest in Twitter, and that would be a bad thing for him. So on one hand, he's able to generate attention, and that's one of the things that he's done for years for his other companies. But when you start to deal with the things in the last 24 hours where he's suspended journalists, that starts to raise other questions about freedom of speech, but also could put Twitter in the crosshairs in Europe, where.
Okay, couple things. Number one, the suspending of journalists. Look, Elon's defense of that is that they are doxing. Now, granted, they are doxing "quote unquote" public information, so it's a little bit nuanced. I don't know if he's totally right or if he's totally wrong. A lot of people that agree with him are calling him a hypocrite right now. A lot of people also say that doxing is totally illegal, threatens your safety. So I tend to go more into the safety count because I would protect safety before anything. But then Elon Musk also doxed someone the other day by showing the license plate. It's a lot of hoopla right now, but that speaks to the first point that the guy just said. Attention. How do you keep attention on something and keep people not interested? It's really hard. If you haven't noticed, if you ever tried making content before, it's very hard to keep people's attention. It is why companies spend billions of dollars a year on marketing. Because keeping people's attention is hard. Every day, the press writes about Twitter and Elon tweets more stuff and gets into a little bit more controversies. It keeps Twitter popular. The World Cup is about to end. When that happens, and then elections are not until, latter end of 2023 when things get really exciting. What's going to get people to use the product, right? It's not like YouTube that's highly engaging with video. It's not like Facebook with your friends and family. It's like these random academic thoughts by a bunch of people, and 95% of it is bullshit. So it's like, how do you get people to keep using it? That's a very difficult thing to do, especially when the discovery on Twitter sucks. If you start a new Twitter account today and start tweeting with 0 followers, it's hard. You have to do so much work just to get a little bit of momentum. It's not like TikTok or Instagram where you can at least get some more views organically. So it's a bit more difficult, and I think Elon has to figure that out, and keeping drama on Twitter helps. Now, I want to go show you guys some success porn. This is not fear porn. This is success porn. Who do you think bought this, and who do you think is up this much on Meta? So let me get it in the screen. This is a Meta $150 call. As you can see, 25 contracts, current price $28.88, market value of $72,000, expires November 17, 2025. Total return 16.39%, $10,165. I've been telling you that I'm bullish on Meta, and I put my money where my mouth is, and I'm up $10,000. This is called becoming a better investor. I know I haven't made the best deals, but this is what it means to become a better investor. You end up having conviction around a thesis on a company. You put your money where your mouth is. That's $72,000 now of my own money, up $10,000. And I'm thinking I should take profits. So just wanted to show you guys a little bit of success porn as we are in this red market. Yeah, that's not my screenshot. The comments are so low. I was wanting to becoming a better investor, getting into options. Yeah, that's not me. This is Chris. So Chris sent me this. I want to see how many of you guys would believe in me. Chris is like, you piece of shit. This is Chris. Okay, Chris just sent me this screenshot. He is up $10,000 on his Meta call. So when he says he's bullish on Meta, he's not kidding. The dude put up almost 50 grand of that money into Meta and is up 10K. Chris, are you going to take the profits? Or are you going to let it ride to 150? Or you're going to, I think you're going to let it ride to 150. I don't think but to be honest, in this macro, I wouldn't blame you for taking the profits because Obviously, that's bad. I can't wait till I can make trades like that. Obviously, you need to have 60 grand to be up 10 grand. Okay. I don't have 60 grand. I can willy-nilly do that. Chris does. That's why Chris is an investor in my company, right? Because he has a little bit more disposable income to throw around. But it's pretty cool to see someone up that much money like that. Namaste and congrats. Congrats, Chris. Would you buy leaps on Palantir at this point? No, I would not. I would not. I would just, again, given the macros crazy, I would just buy the shares. That's all I care about. I didn't even know Amit had 70,000. I do have my net worth close to around 90,000, but I'm down like 40. So that's the sad part about this whole situation. But if I got all my money back, broke even, liquidated everything, that's how much I would have. I guess you could say, well, no, you have to subtract like 6,000 from my car. So a little bit of debt and student loans. I have 10,000, but let's see if Biden gets rid of that. I don't think he's going to get rid of that. So we will see. Wish I had 60K to throw around. Good for you, man. Yeah, Chris has worked his ass off, and he has a little 60K to play around with. Yo, Chris, how does your wife feel about that? I want to know what your wife thinks about being up that much money. Because I feel like a wife that doesn't invest or anything, she would just be like, take the money. That's $10,000. Take the money. But like, obviously, a more seasoned investor would take his time a little bit with that. Let's see here. What do we want to get? Let's do this one. There's a real probability of a recession in 2023. Let's hear about this.
And the whole world, I guess, is now in a tightening phase, Jason. It's probably as simple as that. I wish they wouldn't do it all like within hours. We did Wednesday, then they did, then we got the BOE, then we got the ECB. Everybody's tightening. It's just a fact of life, and we did like that cheap money for a long time.
Yeah, it's raining rate hikes, actually, as turns out, in 2022.
Right.
And ruining everyone's World Cup watching. So it's the fun police from the Fed in 2022. I think it's worth noting a few things. One, we actually think we're much closer to the end of that than the beginning. So does the Fed, for what it's worth. And the likelihood that you could see rate cuts in 2023 will really be the story that you look forward to then. One other note, it is global for sure, other than in China, which is a different story. What you saw in the ECB today, or yesterday, was that when you're really, really late, like the Fed was sort of late, you run into this situation where inflation is so high that even when you start to predict recession, you still have to raise rates. So that's the real fun police.
That's the nightmare scenario for.
Okay, so the same sort of basic argument that raising rates will lead to a recession. I try to give the CNBC contributors like a minute to see if they're giving any valuable information or they're entertaining, or at least they're exciting. And sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But we give them a chance. Before we have to go back into it. S&P at 386 now, recovering a little bit from the lows at 384. Meta up nicely 6% on the day, which means Chris is up probably another $1,000. So Goldman says 150 on Meta, huh? JP Morgan. Can I pull? Is there a link to that report? I want to see if there is JP Morgan Meta price target. They're saying 150 in this market. Interesting. Okay, hold on. Let's pull it up. Let's see what JP has to say about Meta. It's interesting. So they think even in a bad market, Meta is going to be exciting. Fucking CNBC Pro, fucking piece of shit. Okay, let's see this. I should get Pro, but still. Platforms was upgraded by JP Morgan. Analysts led by Doug Anmuth changed their rating on the stock to overnight from neutral. Shares are down about 65%. All right, so there's no real analysis there. I guess they're saying, costs are coming under control. Revenue should start to pick up, and current valuation is attractive. I mean, current valuation is attractive is probably the best answer. Again, Meta is. Let's actually pull it up on Webull right now. Who actually pays for articles? Yeah, I had to cancel my Bloomberg subscription, and I made sure I didn't get charged fucking $35 like last time. Meta's at a $326 billion market cap, doing $128 billion of revenue. I mean, that is kind of insane, guys. Like, that's kind of insane. $128 billion of revenue, trading at 2 times that on a $326 billion market. Like, the attraction to it is relatively strong from just a pure perspective, and I was bullish on Meta in the beginning of the year. I lost my bullishness as it came down, but I'm gaining it again as I just like go deeper and try to understand what they're doing. And if TikTok gets banned, Bro, if TikTok actually gets banned, like that's hundreds of millions of accounts overnight that don't use the platform again. Think of all that ad money. Where is it going to go? Like, where are those billions of dollars of revenue going to go that are on TikTok right now? They got to go somewhere. They got to go somewhere. Companies will advertise somewhere, and they might just end up coming to Meta. Unity at 29, Snowflake 144, Robinhood 869. Adobe had their earnings, and Adobe, wow, oh my. Has anyone kept up with Adobe? What is this? They went down. They were at 320. They announced the acquisition for Figma for 20 billion, went down to 277. They're at 352. What? I have not checked Adobe, I feel like, in a month. They're up 27% since their acquisition. Wow. Goodness, they're higher than they were when they announced the acquisition. I mean, at one point they were at 450, but that was August. Wow. Oh, wow. So that's actually relatively not too long ago. Wow. Adobe's at $163 billion market cap, 9 times price to sales. I've never been excited about Adobe. Just because at the end of the day, I think like design is not a big market that I want to be in. It's definitely a big market. I just don't care too much. Like if I'm not passionate about it, I don't want to really be long on it. Wow. Did not use that. I think I use Adobe every day. I mean, yeah, I use Adobe as well. I just I never thought about buying it. But Figma acquisition, I thought was, look, that just proves the Figma acquisition was amazing. Like they spent 20 billion on a company and the stock tanked. And then if you were patient or you bought the dip, you got rewarded over time because the markets are, that just shows you how irrational the market is. Like the market was like, you can't spend 20 billion on a company. They were like, watch us. They're like, all right, we're going to tank your stock. They're like, okay. And then the stock's up 30% in 2 months. I mean, goodness. That's not bad. Meta is my only high conviction play right now. AJ says, what avenue will be their primary growth driver? I think that if I were to answer that question, the consolidation of attention at scale means they don't have to grow 40, 50% year over year, but they can keep it a nice 10 to 17 to 20% year over year. Just because, they have people's attention. They can introduce new products into the app, all that stuff, but the metaverse is the long-term play. But as long as they keep printing 30 billion a quarter, last quarter they had 28 billion. This quarter they're expected to do $32 billion a year. And if Black Friday and Cyber Monday prove anything, it was that online and Shopify as e-commerce. By the way, do you know how Shopify gets their traffic? They get it from Facebook ads. Like a majority of Shopify's traffic is not Amazon. It's not TikTok. It's not Twitter. That's for sure. No one's buying shit off Twitter. It's freaking Instagram and Facebook. Like every little mom and pop store selling every nook and cranny, they advertise on Instagram and Facebook. So if they did, Shopify had their highest GMV in Black Friday history, that has to be reflective. I think there's a very educated guess here on Meta and their ad platform. Everybody knows who says Meta VR is trash. Valve's platform, Steam, and Meta competitors used by over 60% of Meta Oculus devices, and that's just the trash. Yeah, the trash platforms are not that bad either. I feel like Amit is just reading stats. I'm actually saying this off the top of my head. I mean, I know these stats, but I am saying this off the top of my head. All right, that's it for me, everybody. Finance junkies. That's our podcast on Sunday. We'll see you guys there at 9 p.m. Hope everyone has a good week. I missed one of the morning opens this week because I slept through it, but that's all right. We got 4 out of 5 of them. Daily Cabo we did live, so you guys can check it out. It's on the channel. And I think that's it from me. Hope everyone had a good day. Hope everyone has a good week. Thank you all for joining again the morning stream. I was thinking, is there anything else? Nothing else too crazy. Hope everyone has a good weekend. We'll be back on Monday. Daily Cabo will come back officially Wednesday. We'll have our official regular shows. And SoFi Weekly and Palantir Weekly tonight. Chris, I don't know if we're doing Palantir Weekly on your channel or my channel. It might be on Chris's, it might be on mine, but we'll see. Not a critic commit, just sounded funny. Yeah, I try to get as many stats as I can out there. You know the funniest thing I do? I figured out how you calculate percentage change. You just divide the new price against the old price. And it's so much fun to be like, oh, they're up 27% because you can do that quick math. And as soon as I figured that out 2 months ago, I was like, I'm going to do this for every stock I see. If it's up 380 and it was at 270, I'm going to do the percentage change equation and I'm going to throw out this stat because it's going to make me sound cool. That's so lame, but I think it sounds cool. Anyway, the word of the day today was dubious. So as you leave today and go about your daily life, make sure you use the word dubious, which means foolish in some capacity. The other words of the week were precipitous, fiduciary, Byzantine, Byzantine. It means complex. So try to doing that. I'm telling my boss 4 out of 5 ain't bad. I'm sure I'll be fine. Ty, I'm sorry, bro. I couldn't wake up and I slept at like 3 a.m. that day. I woke up at 8. I went down for a little bit, woke up, it was 10 o'clock. I was like, well, the market has been opened. Somehow the market opened without me. No way. You just figured out how to use the calculator. Yes, that's exactly what happens. All right. Thank you, guys, everybody. I'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.